This is our 600 horsepower SR20, and this is our $300 Nissan 300ZX. We are missing a lot of parts inside the engine bay to get this thing fired up, and I want to hear this thing run, so let's get started. The first thing I'm taking care of is our intake manifold. This is also going to be one of the prettiest pieces that go in the engine bay, so we're going to fit our fuel injectors into the rail, get this trimmed out, and we have a few fittings and barbs that need to go on the underside of the intake manifold before we can get it on the car. We've got our spacers cut down, and our bolts that came with it originally are way too long. So I found some. These are actually off of an FD, and they fit perfectly. Let's assemble this thing. Injectors and rail are in. I actually added some caps so nothing gets into the fuel rail. Now we are going to move on to our air fittings underneath, which are these guys right here. So I've got a port for our brake booster. This is going to give us vacuum for power brakes. I've got an intake air temp sensor here, and I've got 3 vacuum ports we're going to be installing. So one of them is going to be for the manifold air pressure sensor. One of them is going to be for the fuel pressure regulator, and the other one's going to be for the blow-off valve. So let's get them in. The intake manifold is finished and it looks really nice, but we have a few other systems we need to button up under the intake manifold before we can actually fully install this thing. So let's get it back off and start working on the oil system. This is our Grady oil filter relocation kit, and I have the perfect spot for it, but I need to get the front bumper off and the intercooler back on to make sure it's gonna work. Spot is going to be right back in here against the wall, and it's going to be perfect because the cooler is right here.
Bro, let me hold it. This is sick, dude.
That's the spot, dude. Because there's like open space down below, so you're not going to get oil on everything. The cooler's right here, so lines are going to go beep, and then the
now what are the other two? Oh, they go to the
block.
yeah.
Block over there.
So do we do it like this?
No, other way.
Like this.
The farther apart ones go to the motor.
These go to the motor.
Yeah. So those are going straight.
So these are 290s from here,
so those are
and then
going
straight
back. Yeah. So you do a 90 out of one to the cooler, then like a 135 to the upper one.
And then we can do like a 45 here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, man.
And then these 2 lines here will just be going straight that way between the radiator and the frame rail, and your motor will be done. I'm gonna make the plate that bolts to this, and then I want you to make the plate that bolts to this.
Okay.
With the, you know, and then once we have both the plates, then we'll figure out how to weld them together.
Okay.
My plate fits properly.
You ready to see my template? Look at this.
That's it.
It's right now it's a square, but it's bolted, and then we'll just shape it after this to make it somewhat looking mucho better than what it does now. And then from here we'll go from here to here. And then it'll look semi-triangular, and then from there we'll attach both plates, and it's gonna look sick. Am I good or what, bro?
Did you get it? Did you actually get it?
Dead on. Look at that.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Damn, that's a big plate.
That's a thick boy, huh?
Yeah. That's pretty much what it's gonna look like. Just gotta make sure that he's straight.
Actually straight.
Yeah, so what we can do, we can tack this one corner here. We can tack 2 corners up here and 1 here, because from here we can twist it. And then once we have it set, then we'll take it back out and then finalize it.
That's perfect, dude. Yeah, take it down, let's burn it.
Cool.
Our relocation bracket is mounted. It looks sick. Now we got to run lines from here to the cooler, and then we got to run lines from here to the engine, and then that's it. We're done.
Oh, she's strong.
She's stuff, huh?
Yeah.
She ain't moving at all.
She ain't moving.
Now we're ready to start making our oil cooler lines. So we have a bunch of Dishworks fittings, and we have Dishworks double braided stainless line. Let's start making lines. Next up for the 300ZX, we're gonna get our transmission in and bolted down. This is gonna orient the engine so we can start doing the rest of the systems and get everything accurate where we need to. Now, we are running a stock Z32 transmission, which is this guy right here. And of course, it does not bolt up directly to the SR20, so we had to get some modified things.
I know.
So what we have here is a Z32 bell housing with a Mazworks adapter plate on it, and it's already been machined by Mazworks.
Oh,
you can
cool.
see, yeah, so I've got the adapter plate just kind of bolted on.
I
So you
thought
can
the adapter
see.
plate went all the way around, but look.
No, they like cut it
sick.
from like here to there. They trim that section out,
So
and
this
I
can
noticed
fit.
they trimmed some other things. So this is where the starter comes in. Pretty neat. So the starter comes in from the front. So the first order of business is to swap this bell housing onto this transmission, and then we can start putting our beautiful action clutch on.
Let's do it, baby.
So I got the bell housing off of the transmission, and unfortunately it cracked the rear section of the case too, so we're gonna have to take that apart and glue it. And I was looking into how much of a pain that's gonna be, and so I took this shifter plate off, and there's a whole lot going on here, and it's gonna be an absolute nightmare to try and separate that case to re-glue that. So what we're gonna do is use the original transmission that came in the 300ZX. The reason we didn't wanna use that transmission in the first place was because we took it apart, and in between shipping the bell housing out and getting it back, we lost some parts for it, so we had to get another trans. But we're gonna use the transmission parts we lost from that transmission, put the new bell housing on this one, and get this thing in the car, so let's do it. All right, now we have a transmission that is set up for an SR in the front and will work with the rest of the car, which is awesome. We essentially took two transmissions and made one working SR20 swap transmission. Now we're gonna start getting the transmission in the car, and we're gonna start with our Mazworks billet adapter plate, which is really cool. This has countersunk hardware, so we're actually gonna start off by bolting this to the block, and then we're gonna get our action clutch and flywheel on. Let's do it, baby! Get this adapter plate on. Woo! Now it's time to get our action flywheel and clutch kit on the 300ZX. We can get this transmission bolted down. Flywheel's on and it looks sick. This thing's super shiny. So let's grab us a clutch now, brother.
You ready for the transmission, bro?
Yeah, almost. Well,
What do we gotta do?
the action clutch is on,
Oh, nice.
which is beautiful. However,
Yeah.
we gotta put our new throw bearing on. We gotta press it.
Oh, that's right. All right, I'm gonna do that right now. I can do that. I can do that while you keep going. Or
that's
that's the next step.
That's next.
Oh,
Yeah.
crap. Okay,
We
so
gotta do
let's,
that together. Let's do that together.
are we gonna jump?
So this is actually gonna be pretty straightforward. You
Just press
throw
it out,
onto the
press it
device
in.
and press it. I had a socket that actually fit it perfectly. I had it out earlier.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I think I put it away.
You probably did.
I'm kidding.
That one. Yeah, there you go. Boom. All right, Ricky and I got a throw bearing assembled. Well, Ricky pressed it in super sketchy, but it worked really well. So now it's time to get the clutch fork, this in the transmission, and get the transmission in the car. Let's go. All right, the transmission is officially bolted down, and it looks so good, baby. Ricky's working on
the
what?
rear mount, the rear transmission mount, or the only transmission mount. But like I said, I didn't take this thing apart, so I'm like kind of figuring out what the hell I'm doing.
This is one of the coolest things about the swap is you still get to use the factory transmission, which means the transmission fits the chassis, everything fits. We don't have to go into doing a whole ton of custom stuff for the powertrain. It's literally just the engine swap, and that's about it. Yeah, let's go, baby.
That's it.
Look
That's
at
one step closer.
That's a big step too. 300ZX officially has a transmission. That's sick.
And a clutch. I forgot to tell you this.
The transmission is fully installed on the 300ZX. Ricky!
The battery finally got here, and we need that to start the car. So I'm gonna start doing the battery location kit. I'm gonna have to make some modifications to the panels that make it build in the back. Run some wires all the way to the front because the starter needs a power wire. So I'm gonna start doing that right now. All right, so we have the battery here, and I'm thinking of putting it here just because there is underneath there's a big gap, so that this board will probably be like right up here. So you're only going to be able to see the top. We'll make the wires, power wires run behind, tucked under, and underneath this panel, if I can show you real quick, we have the battery brace. It's going to be attached to it right there, and from here we'll be able to bolt it. There's nothing underneath here, so we'll be able to bolt it with plates underneath to hold this thing in place. We'll bolt it down, battery will be set, and then we'll make the panel that goes over it right on top of it, and we'll be able to run the wires through the floorboard all the way to the ground chassis or through the panels into inside, whatever we need to do. Now it's time to get busy. So I'm gonna start cutting, making holes. We're probably gonna have to rewrap the that panel again with some fleece, with some black carpet, and then after that, once the battery I know is secure, we can start drilling the holes for the wiring for the ground and power, and we'll start running everything forward. Okay, so that's gonna be how it's gonna be looking when I'm done with it. The battery terminals are going to be here. The wire is going to be going behind all the way down, and then from there you won't see them again until they get to the prospective location. And then this needs to be recovered again with a new set of fleece, because you know how to cut this one off. But that should be an easy fix. And yeah, so I think now I am going to keep the battery in place. I'm going to try to remove this without moving this. I'll mark the tray and I'll start drilling the mounting holes for the battery rack. Alright, the battery bracket is completely mounted. We drilled all the holes and Quinn actually helped me put the holes through it, and then he was at the bottom helping me holding the nuts in place when I tightened it up. But the camera stopped recording, so I don't know what happened. But we have battery, we have memory card, so it is what it is.
Oh, is battery in?
Yeah, man. That's right.
It's solid, dude. How's this fit?
We can flip the car now and the battery's not gonna go anywhere.
You tested this thing yet?
No.
Did you show him this yet?
Yes.
I'm gonna fit it right
But
now.
it wasn't bolted. Hey!
Brand new, dude. That's freaking perfect.
Here's a little bit of a gap. It wasn't a gap before, which
No,
means
it's
I
solid.
moved it. Just a tiny bit, but it's still solid.
You paint the little trim thing black on the side here.
Oh, you know what? No, the wrap has to go over again, so we'll be good. I left that gap on purpose.
Wrap.
Yeah, we'll have to wrap that one again. With carpet. Let's see, this one. Boom.
You got your cables coming back here.
They're gonna go down.
We could even use those rear side posts here.
Yeah, but why have this open with nothing? I think if we put some really nice terminals here and have the cables go down, I think it'll look really cool.
Kind of like we did on the FD.
Yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be nice.
Now we gotta run wires. We are running out of time. Let me see what I can get done right now. So let's get to work.
What we got here, Ricky?
So right now I'm just mocking everything up. We have a ground splitter up here, and then we have another ground attached to the chassis underneath the car, which goes through here, and it's a watertight water seal. So we have two grounds going straight to the battery. We have two positives as well. We have another positive splitter here, and all this will be coated with nice wiring and looming, all that stuff, so it's gonna look really nice when I'm done with it. But from here, we'll be able to grab positive and ground for the fuel cell and for all the relays that we're gonna have for it. This one goes all the way to the front, and it's gonna be a splitter right there at the kick panel, which is where the ECU and part of the sound system is gonna be right there. And from there, we'll jump through the firewall, which we already did, one of these watertight adapters, and then it'll go through to the starter, and then the engine will have power.
Sweet. And it's gonna be all tucked up underneath all the panels.
All the panels. You're not gonna see any of it except the wires coming out of the battery. That's it, baby!
So that's gonna be it for today's episode on the 300ZX. We've got some really good, really critical stuff done to getting this car fired up and running for the first time.
Or almost done, in my case.
We've got a transmission and our clutch is fully installed, which is awesome, which means we can actually put a starter there, which does a few things. One, it allows us to start the engine.
I know.
And two, it allows us a spot to start running our power and ground distribution for the rest of the car. So we're gonna get our alternator set up, wire all that stuff, we can start doing that. And we got a battery in the back now.
Yeah, batteries in the back, wires ran for the most part. I'm waiting on a few little things to show up, and on top of that, we ran out of time, so unfortunately I couldn't finish it on this video.
So are we gonna add another power distribution block somewhere else in the engine bay like we normally do with some of the other cars?
It's gonna be hitting underneath the fender. So your starter one will be directly to it from there, but we'll have another one hidden.
So obviously we still have a lot of work to do before this SR20 is going to fire up, but we're making really good progress and having critical steps done, which allows us to fly through some of the rest of the systems as soon as the parts are here, which a lot of the parts are here. Some of the parts are still on the way. We don't have an ECU quite yet. It's still en route, and that's a pretty critical part to getting this thing started up.
I know, I didn't realize that.
But, yeah.
I forgot that we don't have the
Still
ECU
on its
yet.
way. But once we have it, we're going to get everything set up so we can actually start wiring. And another thing was getting the transmission on, because now the SR20 is no longer rocking like this.
Right.
It's oriented exactly where it is.
Now, do we have the harness for the engine?
We have the full engine harness, yep. So now that this is fixed.
Yeah, so once the ECU gets here, it's literally just plug it in and that's it.
Yeah, so we can start laying out the harness. We can start making all of our coolant hoses now that this isn't rocking around, and actually start plumbing everything correctly and getting everything done.
Even the intercooler piping can be done now.
Yep, exactly. Thank you guys always so much for watching. Don't forget to comment down below how you think our 300ZX is turning out. I'm very excited to see this thing complete and very excited to get this thing started, which is going to be fairly soon.
Hopefully.
So, hopefully. Drop a like down below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.